No time frame set to conclude Malaysia-EU free trade talks. Donald Trump sworn in as 47th US President. Hello and good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shuhaida Arifin and you're watching World Today. Malaysia and the European Union EU have not set any time frame to conclude their negotiations for the Malaysia-EU Free Trade Agreement MUFTA. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, however, said both parties have agreed to accelerate the negotiations. Speaking to the media at the end of his two-day visit at Belgium, Datuk Seri Anwar, who's also the finance minister, said previous talks between Malaysia and EU could not be concluded because Malaysia was not ready to accept their unreasonable conditions.
Tetapi sekarang ini bila Malaysia punya ada kekuatan ekonomi dan dapat dengan tegas memberi beberapa jaminan tentang kekuatan ekonomi kita dan juga sikap kita dari segi perubahan iklim, mereka nampak bersedia dan ini satu bagi saya kemudian positif. Saya pun beritahu tak payahlah diberi kuliah panjang mengenai kawasan hijau kerana kawasan hutan kita itu jauh lebih tinggi dan kita lebih mengerti cara dan kaedah untuk menjamin persekitaran di negara kita sendiri. Dan keduanya kerana sudah ada terjalin perjanjian dengan UK CPTPP, ini juga akan membantu.
Negotiations for MUFTA started in 2010 but stalled in 2012 following Malaysia's reservations over the EU's palm oil procurement policies, subsidies and sustainability clauses. One of the reasons for the breakdown is discrimination over palm oil, particularly claims regarding open burning and labour practices. On other development during the Prime Minister's engagement with the Presidents of the European Council, Antonio Costa, both sides agreed to expedite discussions on the European Investment Bank EIB Framework Agreement. The EU also pledged 10 billion euros or 46.7 billion ringgit in connectivity investments to ASEAN.
Pertemuan dengan Antonio Costa, saya sebut tadi, Presiden Balik Eropah, dalam isu-isu yang terkait juga, termasuk pengumuman mereka tentang perjanjian kerangka European Investment Bank di bawah strategi Global Gateway, di mana ASEAN akan mendapatkan dana yang agak besar dari segi pinjaman.
Earlier, the Prime Minister and the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, announced the resumption of negotiations for the MUFTA, marking a significant milestone in strengthening Malaysia's economic ties with one of the world's largest trading blocs. The Prime Minister's office said the resumption of talks also underscores Malaysia's commitment to fostering deeper economic ties with the EU, a major trade and investment partner for Malaysia. Meanwhile, Malaysia, Belgium and the European Union have welcomed the ceasefire in Gaza and hope Israel will maintain peace. Datuk Seri Anwar also expressed relief that both Israel and Hamas were willing to seek reconciliation amid the ongoing tensions. However, the Prime Minister noted that the most pressing issue now was the effort to rebuild Gaza, which had been left in ruins.
Kita telah menekankan bahawa mereka harus juga selain daripada menyaksikan perubahan dan keamanan, tapi juga harus menekan supaya kedua-dua pihak lebih lagi kerana pengaruh mereka kepada Israel, supaya Israel mematuhi syarat-syarat perdamaian itu supaya tidak menggagalkan.
Dato' Seri Anwar said this after delivering a keynote address titled Bridging Regions, Strengthening Southeast Asia European Resilience at the College of Europe COE in Brugge, about 98 kilometres from Brussels. Prime Minister Dato' Seri Anwar Ibrahim's working visit to Belgium has proven to be a resounding success, marked by the resumption of negotiations for the Malaysia-European Union Free Trade Agreement (MUFTA. It demonstrates the government's forward-thinking approach to economic cooperation and its commitment to expanding trade and investment partnerships. In a historic moment in Malaysia-EU relations, Dato' Seri Anwar and President Ursula von der Leyen announced the resumption of MUFTA negotiations. During the meeting with EU leaders, Dato' Seri Anwar had the opportunity to discuss on economic matters, sustainability and educational initiatives. The Prime Minister was also the first Asian leader to meet the newly elected President of the European Council, Antonio Costa.
Kerjasama, fokus kita ekonomi dan perdagangan, dan juga kerana kita dah mulakan perbincangan mengenai perjanjian perdagangan antara Malaysia dan Eropah. Kemudian kita adakan pertemuan dengan Wakil Tinggi Hal Ehwal Luar dan Keselamatan EU, iaitu Kaja Kallas, dan mengulangi tentang keperluan meningkatkan jumlah perdagangan yang agak tinggi, tetapi juga menggalakkan beberapa pelaburan baru dalam bidang AI, data center dan energi.
During his visit, the Prime Minister extended an invitation to Belgian investors to explore investment opportunities in Malaysia's key sectors, including pharmaceuticals, logistics, renewable energy and green technology. Furthermore, Malaysia and the EU reached an agreement to expedite discussions on the European Investment Bank EIB Framework Agreement. The EU has pledged to invest a significant sum of 46.7 billion ringgit towards enhancing ASEAN connectivity. Dato' Seri Anwar also firmly advocate for a ceasefire in Palestine and to address the pressing issue of Islamophobia.
Dalam kuliah saya cuba mengaitkan bahawa sebenarnya kalau kita lihat dalam sejarah falsafah dan tamadun Barat itu sendiri, dia melahirkan beberapa sarjana dan tokoh besar pemikir. Ya, saya sebut Goethe, Jerman, Henry Pirenne, Belgium, ya, Henry Corbin, Perancis, ya, yang sebenarnya juga memikirkan tentang kemanusiaan, memuliakan dan menghormati kepelbagaian, termasuk lain budaya dan agama.
Belgium holds the position of Malaysia's sixth largest trading partner among EU countries, achieving a trade volume of 10.79 billion ringgit as of November 2024. Prime Minister Dato' Seri Anwar Ibrahim has arrived in Davos, Switzerland for a 3-day working visit to attend the high-level World Economic Forum WEF Annual Summit 2025. Coming in from Brussels, the aircraft carrying the Prime Minister landed at Zurich International Airport at 6:24 p.m. local time Monday. On hand to welcome the Prime Minister at the airport were the permanent representatives of Malaysia to the United Nations UN in Geneva, Dato' Nazira Osman. Dato' Seri Anwar is accompanied by Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Dato' Seri Zafrul Abdul Aziz, Higher Education Minister Dato' Seri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir and Digital Minister Gobind Singh Dio. Dato' Seri Anwar will join government and business leaders as well as civil society officials in the Alpine Resort town to address key global and regional challenges through improved global cooperation. On his first full day at WEF Annual Summit 2025, the Prime Minister will be involved in several business meetings with leaders of multinational companies including AstraZeneca, DP World, Medtronics, Nestle, Google, Fortescue and Total Energies. More than 630 humanitarian aid trucks entered Gaza Strip on Sunday, with at least 300 of those trucks going to the enclave's north, where famine looms. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said this at the UN Security Council on Monday. According to assessments from the UN, billions of dollars will be needed to rebuild Gaza after the war.
We are doing our part to ensure the rapid scaling up of humanitarian deliveries. More than 630 trucks with humanitarian aid entered Gaza yesterday, at least 300 of them to the north. The United Nations will do all...
Meanwhile, United States Deputy Ambassador to the United Nations, Dorothy Shear, calls for global support to scale up funding for humanitarian aid.
Now is the time for all parties to ensure critical aid reaches those in need throughout Gaza. We urge countries to support this effort through funding and resources and to help scale up much-needed humanitarian aid. A ceasefire and hostage...
Coming up, China's BYD to complete $1 billion Indonesia plant by year-end. President Donald Trump was sworn in for a returning second term in office Monday, heralding a major shift in the U.S. government. His return is expected to send shockwaves through American society and the world at large. The inauguration was held indoors for the first time in decades due to freezing weather.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God.
The inauguration ceremony began at 11:45 a.m. local time at the Capitol Rotunda. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden greeted Trump and his wife Melania as they arrived at the White House. In an often divisive address in the U.S. Capitol, the 47th president promised a blitz of orders, including the declaration of a national emergency on the Mexican border and a policy of only recognizing two genders. Trump also struck a nationalistic tone as he capped the most extraordinary comeback in U.S. political history, pledging to impose trade tariffs, rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, and take back Panama Canal, which has been controlled by the Central American country since 1999.
Our liberties and our nation's glorious destiny will no longer be denied, and we will immediately restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty of America's government. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again.
Meanwhile, the newly installed President Trump said the United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. Trump also said that he had withdrawn the U.S. from the climate agreement, which enshrines the UN's climate objectives in 2019. The White House website confirmed the withdrawal under President Trump's America's First Priorities, saying President Trump will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. President Joe Biden quickly re-entered the accord on his first day in office, an action that Trump can now reverse. The Wall Street Journal said the order for the withdrawal has already been written and awaits Trump's signature. He is also likely to annul federal pollution standards for new vehicles. It is meant to incentivize auto manufacturers to build electric and hybrid vehicles and to expand fossil fuel production. In the longer term, Trump may seek to undercut the production of renewable energy sources, including wind farms, which he has repeatedly derided for various reasons, calling them an economic and environmental disaster.
Asian leaders extended greetings to US President Donald Trump on his return to the White House, vowing to work with him for a better future for the world.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, in his message, vowed to work with Trump on the opportunities and challenges ahead. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, in a message on X, extended warmest congratulations to Trump on his inauguration as president, saying he looks forward to reinforce the enduring Japan-US partnership. Meanwhile, the Hiroshima prefectural government said it is inviting Trump to its capital city for the 80th anniversary of the US conducting the world's first atomic bomb attack. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a message on X, congratulated Trump on his historic inauguration as the 47th US president. Writing on X, Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said he looks forward to working with Trump to strengthen the enduring Pakistan-US partnership. Taiwanese regional leader William Lai Ching-te wrote on X, Taiwan looks forward to working with Trump's administration to promote enduring freedom, peace and prosperity around the world.
Panama has rejected President Donald Trump's pledge that the United States would be taking back the Panama Canal, saying the key intra-oceanic waterway would remain under its control.
Panama's President Jose Raul Mulino rejected the notion via a statement published on social media. He stated the canal is and will remain Panama's, dismissing Trump's claim that China is operating the canal. In his second inaugural address, Trump vowed that the United States would be taking back the Panama Canal. He claimed that Chinese companies have been steadily increasing their presence around the vital shipping link between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The Panama Canal was built by the United States, mostly with Afro-Caribbean labor, and opened in 1914.
China's top electric vehicle maker BYD aims to complete its $1 billion plant in Indonesia at the end of 2025, the head of its local unit said on Monday, underscoring the firm's ambition to dominate the market where Japanese automakers are popular.
According to BYD's president-director in Indonesia, Igor Zhao, the long-term plan for the plant is to export market. Eagle also expects a new facility to produce its first cars not long after the completion of construction.
So our manufacturing, once it started, we will put the priority and majority for the domestic markets. Meanwhile, we will never stop to thinking about the exportation markets as well. So for this strategy and also planning, we will more proactively to talking with the government, we will also collect the needs and demands from the neighborhood countries. Then we will make a long-term planning in terms of the exportation markets.
The plant, which is being built at an industrial complex in Subang, West Java, will have a production capacity of 150,000 EV units annually. With the investment, BYD has been allowed to temporarily ship its cars into Indonesia without import duties, a policy aimed to stimulate demand for EVs while attracting investment by automakers. The Indonesian government also aims for 600,000 EVs to be domestically produced by 2030. A 6.4 magnitude earthquake struck a mountainous rural area of Taiwan's south earlier today near the city of Chiayi. The quake had a depth of 9.4 kilometers with its epicenter in Dapu Township in Chiayi County and hit just after midnight, the weather administration said. Chipmaker TSMC said it had evacuated staff and its factories in central and southern Taiwan and they were all safe. The earthquake shook buildings in the capital, Taipei. There were no immediate reports of deaths from the quake, though rescuers were still assessing damage. Taiwan's fire department said 15 people were sent to hospital for minor injuries. Among them were 6 people, including 1 child, who were rescued from a collapsed house in Nanxi District, Tainan City. The two-way bridge in a provincial highway was reported to be damaged. Chiayi Fire Department also said there were no reports of major casualties so far in the city, while power cuts were reported in some villages and some buildings were damaged. A fire broke out on Monday at a retirement home on the outskirts of the Serbian capital Belgrade, killing 8 and injuring 7 others.
According to Luka Kosic, a police officer overseeing the emergency response services in the area, around 30 people were inside the facility when the blaze started at 3:30 a.m. local time. Kosic said initial findings suggested that a resident may have started the fire. Prosecutors said an investigation into the incident was ongoing and confirmed that authorities suspect a resident killed during the incident likely started the blaze. 3 people have been detained in connection with the fire. The local prosecutor's office said the individuals were being held due to reasonable suspicion they had violated legislation linked to endangering general safety, which could carry prison sentences ranging between 2 and 10 years if convicted. Earlier Monday, fire crews and emergency responders combed the area in the wake of the blaze, with a larger portion of the facility's roof visibly charred. The Clinical Center of Serbia said 3 patients were currently in a critical condition. According to Belgrade's military hospital, several others were being treated for moderate to severe smoke inhalation.
Up next, Chelsea back into top 4 after taming Wolves. 7 times world champion Lewis Hamilton, Formula One's most successful driver of all time, arrived for his first day at Ferrari on Monday. Almost a year since Hamilton announced his shock decision to leave Mercedes, where he won 6 of his 7 Formula One World Championships for Ferrari. The 40-year-old was at the team's headquarters at Maranello for his first official day.
Hamilton's first day included a seat fitting following by the simulator, but due to the weather conditions, he is not likely to have a first outing at the Fiorano test track until Wednesday, while official testing starts in Bahrain from 26 to 28 February. The Briton had his worst season in Formula One last year in terms of championship position, finishing 7th overall, but did win 2 races after 2 seasons without a victory. Hamilton's last championship win came in 2020. Hamilton will partner Charles Leclerc at Ferrari, who are without a driver's title since 2007, taking the place of Spaniard Carlos Sainz, who has joined Williams. The 2025 season begins with the Australian GP from 14 to 16 March. Hamilton and Ferrari will appear alongside the other teams at the official F1 launch at London's O2 Arena on 18 February before returning to Italy for Ferrari's unveiling of the new car following day.
Chelsea won for the first time in 6 Premier League matches when they beat relegation-threatened Wolverhampton Wanderers 3-1 at home early this morning, with goals from defenders Tosin Darabioyo and Mark Cucurella and a third from winger Noni Madueke. The hosts are seeking to get back on track for a place in next season's Champions League went ahead in the 24th minute when Tosin side-footed home from close range. But goalkeeper Robert Sanchez gifted Wolves an equaliser in first half stoppage time when he dropped a corner and Matt Doherty stabbed the ball in. The home fans were fearing a repeat of recent games when Chelsea threw away leads until Cucurella popped up in attack to score after Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, in his first league start for the Blues, flicked on Madueke cross on the hour. 5 minutes later, Madueke nodded in to make sure a header from Trevor Chalobah crossed the line. Chelsea have 40 points from 22 games, 10 adrift of leaders Liverpool, and 4 behind second-place Arsenal and Nottingham Forest. They are 2 points above Manchester City and Newcastle. Wolves, meanwhile, remain out of the bottom 3, only on goal difference ahead of Ipswich Town.
Manchester City on Monday announced the signing of Uzbekistan centre-back Abdul Qadir Husanov from French club Lens for a reported fee of €40 million plus add-ons. Husanov, the first player from Uzbekistan to join a Premier League club, has signed a 4.5-year deal at the Etihad.
Husanov's deal keeps him at the Etihad until the end of 2028-2029 season.
Men juda xursandman bu komandaga qo'shilganimdan. Bu komanda dunyoning eng yaxshi komandalaridan biri. Men bu yoqqa trofey yutgani keldim. Bu komanda juda katta komanda. Treneri eng yaxshi trenerlardan biri. Shu uchun keldim.
Pep Guardiola has spoken of the need for City to strengthen their options in the centre of defence, and Husanov makes the move after earning rave reviews for his performances in France and with his best years ahead of him. The 20-year-old moved to Lens 18 months ago from Belarusian side energetic BGU and immediately proved his worth in Ligue 1, with former Lens goalkeeper Bryce Samba describing him as a monster at the back. Premier League champion City are currently 4th in the table after a 6-0 win at Ipswich on Sunday.
Manchester United are primed to offload Anthony to Real Betis after agreement on both the club and player sides was struck and the terms of the deal that United successfully improved have emerged.
Anthony's record at Manchester United since his £86 million arrival stands at a dismal 12 goals and 5 assists in 96 matches. The Brazilian is wholly unsuited to Ruben Amorim's 3-4-3 formation, with the manager preferring number 10 style players like Bruno Fernandes in the slots behind the striker rather than traditional wingers like Anthony and Marcus Rashford. Anthony has been trialled at wing-back, though not to any great effect. The end result with Anthony is he was granted permission to secure a move away, and according to reports, he is heading to Real Betis via the loan route. The exact details in the salary split has not yet been revealed. Anthony earns a whopping £200,000 a week, and United were desperate for buying a club to absorb as much of that salary as possible. According to Spanish outlet Marca, Man United asked Real Betis to commit to taking on more of Anthony's salary than they originally intended. After Man United played hardball, the Spanish side agreed to raise the amount they'll cover.
All right, so that concludes today's edition of World Today. In our top story, no time frame set to conclude Malaysia-EU free trade talks. Till then, I'm Shuhaida Arifin. From River to the Sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you for watching.